All right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, continuing our retro review pay-per-view series. This is going to be WCW Starrcade 1988. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's jump right into it. And this was actually hours before, I believe it was hours before this pay-per-view. Ted Turner had now purchased NWA and Jim Crockett Promotions. So now it wasn't officially WCW, but it was well on its way of doing it.
Yeah, I think it was considered like a WCW production. It was NWA, but it was a WCW production, I think. I don't know if they made that retroactively or when it first aired,
Uh,
but either way,
there's no telling, but
yeah,
I mean, the December 26, 1988, Norfolk, Virginia, 10,000 on hand at the Scope for this one. You had Tony Schiavone and Magnum TA as the hosts of the card, and you had Jim Ross and Bob Caudle, got it, as your commentators. I wish it would have reversed it because Caudle put me to sleep. So, in any event, let's get on to the matches. Our
Mhm.
first
Well, there
opening.
should be just
Oh,
a
go ahead.
note. There were five major NWA titles on the line this night.
Yes, and a dark match to follow the main event, which was a battle royal. And they might as well just have aired that because as you're listening to the commentating at the end of the night, they're telling you
You hear it.
what's going on next. So
Well, I know, but not
it
only
was
that,
funny.
When Flair has the interview, you hear the audio pipe in like,
Yup,
"Ladies and gentlemen." I'm like, well, we're not going to see anything, but okay.
exactly.
That was a
Why
mistake. That was
why torment this man? I'm
yeah,
always good for a good battle royal, man.
yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Five major NWA titles. Let's kick it off. The first one was for the NWA United States Tag Team titles. It was the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers versus Kevin Sullivan and Dr. Death Steve Williams. This, to me, this match it seemed like the moves were just like a minute off from each other. Like it wasn't. They didn't hit everything right. It just felt like there was a lot of botches in
Yeah,
this.
timing might have been off. Yeah,
Yeah, and like a back body drop or a clothesline, it didn't seem like it clicked. And I mean, who's to tell who's to blame for this one? I mean, the fans got a kick out of the match. It wasn't bad, but Williams and um, Sullivan win the tag team titles from the Fantastics, and like I said, it just felt like it was
yeah.
just slightly off, just shy under 16 minutes in this one. The next match, actually, I enjoyed this only because I love watching Paulie and Jim Cornette. It was the original Midnight Express versus Jim Cornette's Midnight Express. Now, the original was Dennis Condrey and Rambling Randy Rose, and of course, Jim Cornette's was Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane.
You
And you
should
had
just
Paulie Dangerously as the originals manager with,
yeah,
my God, the longest hair I've ever seen on him in my life.
yeah. They should have called it the new
The new
yeah,
Midnight
yeah,
Express. Well, no, WWE did that.
yeah.
WCW wouldn't.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
The
Either way,
the only thing I enjoyed that was entertaining about this match was the fact that Cornette and Dangerously wanted to beat the hell out of each other. So
yeah.
well, Cornette wanted to beat up Dangerously, and he got his chance. And I
It's
mean
it's
the
no, it's cool seeing them back then.
yeah,
Knowing that later on they go to WWF and you know, what Paul Lee dangerously obviously becomes,
the what is it, the secret councilman now or
Yeah, so
whatever. But yeah, and well, we all know Cornette. Even to this day, still runs his mouth. But this match was pretty good. The Cornette's Midnight Express win this match, and it wasn't, obviously it wasn't fair game. There was a lot of stuff going on. What was funny is what I thought was Teddy Long, who's the referee in the match, picks up Dangerously cell phone towards the end, and he's
yeah,
actually asking the crowd,
yeah,
like, did he use it? No,
yeah,
you want of course, the crowd's going to tell him, yeah, but I'm like, dude, are you seriously going to put this match in the hands of the crowd? I mean, I don't know, but I thought it was funny, and then the everybody's getting hit with the tennis racket after the match. It was actually fun to see this, but again, Cornette and Dangerously kind of made this match. It was 17 minutes 46 seconds, but I mean, it was good.
yeah. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad match.
This next match to me was something that should have been on Saturday night. It was the Junkyard Dog. Now, don't get me wrong, I love watching Junkyard Dog wrestle. I just didn't understand this match, and even the commentators didn't. Were like, "This is an odd pair." You had the Junkyard Dog and Ivan Koloff versus the Russian Assassins, number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the stipulation in this was if Junkyard Dog and Koloff won, not only did the Assassins have to unmask, but their manager would be gone from NWA. Well, obviously, we know where this went. It was a 6-minute, 47-second match. The Assassins win the match over JYD and Ivan Koloff. And I mean, I didn't just see the crowd just didn't seem like they were into this one.
Not really, not really.
But when JYD got in the ring, that's when they hit it off. You know, again, I love watching JYD. I just didn't understand this match. Our next contest on the card was for the NWA television title. It was Mike Rotunda versus Rick Steiner with Kevin Sullivan in the cage suspended above the arena. Now, I believe this was the Varsity Club breakup because Rick Steiner was part of this at one point, and I think this was where they started disbanding it. And obviously, Scott Steiner's not there yet. It was just Rick there. This match I really did enjoy. This was 2 wrestlers, 2 collegiate athletes going at it. The crowd was into it. I was into it because I always liked Mike Rotunda, IRS, whatever you want to call him. He's from wrestling royalty, that family. And Rick Steiner can wrestle with the best of them. He was actually a pretty good singles competitor.
Yeah, he was.
And I mean, the whole thing at the end, though, when Dr. Death, Steve Williams, comes down, he rings the bell. Now all of a sudden they're playing dumb, like, oh, the match is over. What's going on here? Then you get the other referee coming down because they only had 2 referees for this entire night. And so he comes down, and there's a whole bunch of chaos. And Sullivan gets now he's come out of the cage.
He's coming down because they heard a ring, because the bell rang.
Yeah, the bell rang. They're bringing the cage down. And so now he's getting involved. Rotunda accidentally hits Sullivan, falls down. Steiner gets the pin over him, and he gets the 1, 2, 3, and he's now the new television champion, and the place went nuts. And I like his interview later on, that how he's like, you know, I told him I would do it. He goes, and Magnum TA is like, well, you're going to have a lot of guys after you. Who? How? How do you know? Who's coming after me? I thought that was funny. Yeah. He's like, I'll beat them all. And he probably will. So that was one of the good matches on the card that night. The next match was for the NWA United States Championship belt. Barry Windham defending against Bam Bam Bigelow with Sir Oliver Humperdinck at ringside.
Bam.
This wasn't I don't want to say it was a bad match, but it wasn't a good match.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it's interesting seeing Bam Bam, like, he just came over from WWF, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not too long before this.
Yeah,
he had a cup of coffee. There. He had a cup of coffee there. And then I think he has another cup of coffee here too, right? Because then he goes to Japan. I think he goes over to Japan for a while.
He bounced around between now and '93, and then goes to WWE, and then
he has such talent.
Bounced around again.
He has such talent. I just think they didn't neither company at that time really utilized him properly. A guy that big with that look that can move the way that he can move.
He was very agile.
Yeah, I think it had to do with money though. I think I remember reading that it was about money, that apparently Japan was paying more guaranteed money at the time.
And don't forget, he was also, once he went to ECW, he got typecasted, because now when he went to WCW, the only thing they saw in him was, oh, well, you can go for the hardcore title that we have.
Yeah, but that's much later on. Just,
unfortunately, he typecast him. I mean, he was definitely a main eventer. He could have been.
No, he could have.
I liked him in WWE his first run. I thought it was cool.
Windham was a good wrestler too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Barry Windham was a good wrestler.
Yeah, I just every time he went to WWE, except for his first run, was always a gimmick thing that didn't work out, which was stupid. So this match was just over 16 minutes. Windham wins the match, keeps the title. It was an average match, like I said. The crowd was into it because of Bam Bam. The agility that he was doing in the match was just phenomenal. So it was by count out that Windham won. It wasn't a pin. The 2 of them were on the outside. And Bam Bam didn't get back in the ring at the 10 count, which I thought was kind of cheesy. Both of them are saving face, but what's Bam Bam saving face for? He would be gone shortly.
Yeah, right.
After this. So, I mean, what was it to save face for the 4 Horsemen? I don't know.
I guess, yes.
Because you had J.J. Dillon down there with them. Don't forget.
They were like pushing Windham as like the future too.
Yeah, and they never really gave him the brass ring, other than when they brought in the NWA title at the time when they had the WCW title there too. That's the only time they really did push him there to the top. But I thought he could do it. He had tons of
No,
talent.
he did.
They just did not, like Dustin Rhodes. They just did not elevate him to that next level. So the next match after that was for the NWA Tag Team Championships. They love their tag titles down there. It was the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, Legion of Doom versus Sting and Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, this is coming off that feud where they was it Hawk that scraped his eye? Or was it Animal? I forget. With Dusty Rhodes.
This was also when they had the 6-man tag team titles too. They had turned on Dusty.
They put the spike, and then he was bleeding and everything, and this is what gets. I think that's what got Dusty fired.
Yes, it did.
Was that incident?
This was it, yeah.
Because he wasn't supposed to do that. And I think he might have been the booker before this, right? And he got fired.
Yeah, he was booking in '88.
He got fired from being the booker, and then he gets fired because he leaves right after. I think he leaves right after Starrcade. I think.
Yeah, because he showed up not too long after in WWE, probably around the middle of '89.
Yeah, I think he gets canned right after this.
I mean, the match wasn't bad. I mean, you had Sting, a 3-year veteran at this point. It feels like Sting has just been wrestling forever. It just feels like it. Every time you watch, no matter how far back on WCW go, he's always on that card. And then, of course, he's still doing it now. It's just like this guy is ageless.
Yeah, they were really pushing Sting, even though he was young, but they were really pushing. They were very high on him. You could see the talent. You could see how over he was with the crowd. So I think it was a good build up and it was a good match.
Yeah. The Legion of Doom, Road Warriors are always going to put on a good match. I didn't particularly care for them as heels, but they weren't heels for that long.
Nah, they should have kept them baby faces because they didn't change. Like, it's not like they were the same.
Yeah, they whether they were bad or good,
right?
Their moves were everything they did was still the same.
Even the promos was the same.
The only thing that was different was Ellering getting involved.
Yeah, which was stupid because they needed Ellering's help. I didn't like the ending to this match. It was
a disqualification.
It was a DQ.
I didn't like it because it wasn't one clean where the Road Warriors beat them and keep the tag titles, or Sting and Dusty. Obviously, they weren't going to win the tag titles with Dusty in hot water. But yeah, Ellering interfering just I don't know.
Sting and Dusty had him beat.
Yeah, they had a good build up to this match. The crowd was into it. I was into it because I like Sting. I like Dusty. I love the Legion of Doom. Not as much as Demolition. I'm not going there.
Road Warriors, but yeah, same difference.
Well, no, they called them both during this.
Well,
Road Warrior Hawk, Road Warrior Animal.
Well, the Legion of they were never known as the tag team was never known as the Legion of Doom in NWA WCW. The group with Ellering, they were the Legion of Doom, but the Road Warriors as a tag team were always the Road Warriors.
Road Warriors. Once in a while, they mentioned Legion of Doom.
But as a collective group, the collective group was known.
Yeah, if Ellering wasn't there, they didn't mention.
Right.
So, but yeah, I thought this match could have been a little better. Ellering interfering, never mind. Our next match, I loved it. It was for the NWA title. It was Ric Flair versus Lex Luger. I mean, this match just was phenomenal to me.
But a stipulation that the title could change hands on a DQ.
Disqualification, yeah. And Flair tried.
Yeah.
How many times he was pushing the referee? J.J. Dillon is getting involved. I'm like, they really pushed it here for him. I mean, and I'm trying to figure out, why are you doing that if you get disqualified, you lose the title, and you keep pushing the referee? I don't know.
It's probably just so to have the crowd think like, oh, is he going to get DQ'd? Is he going to get DQ'd?
Is this the time that Luger's finally going to beat him?
But Luger was this is like one of Luger's best matches. I think it's got to be one of his best matches. I don't know if it's because of Flair or Luger himself.
I think it was both of them.
Either way,
they brought out the best in each other. Yeah. One problem with it though was the ending. When all of a sudden his knee just gives out on him. Flair does the dirty
torture
pin.
rack, yeah.
Yeah, and all of a sudden after Flair pins him, Luger gets right up and is walking fine on the knee. But when you have him up there now, all of a sudden the knee gave out.
Flair used the ropes to pin him.
Naturally, it was Ric Flair's the dirtiest player in the game. And this was a 31-minute match on the night. And man, did these guys put on a clinic. Mm-hmm. But that one, the ending, I can understand, okay, Flair doing the dirty pin, fine, if you want to do it that way. But just his knee gave out.
I just thought they should have just had Luger go over, though. Besides the whole ending, I didn't really care for. I thought Luger should have went over. They should have gave it to him. They just gave it to him. And then
instead they wind up giving him the U.S. title when he runs with it for a couple of years.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like Luger
at the time they had him at that limit and they just wouldn't elevate him, but eventually they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought at this point, since he already went toe to toe with Flair earlier in the year, that he could do it and go over this time and actually win the title at Starrcade.
Yeah, definitely. So I thought this pay-per-view was okay. I mean, it wasn't like was.
It's the better Starrcades of the next few that we're going to be doing.
Oh,
I mean, they just had some really wackadoo things that they had going
This is a rough
on the next two.
It's a rough time during the transition.
I mean, our next one is like a round robin tournament, and then the next one after that is a like kind of like an Olympic tag team tournament, the Pat O'Connor Invitational. So yeah, we're gonna get into some pretty weird stuff.
Yeah. Oh Jesus! All right, well, you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.